breaking news, Staffy. I want to go to you first. That Andre Onana has agreed his personal terms. A new bid is about to go in. There's high confidence it's going to be accepted at 45 million. I personally believe this is a seismic and transformative transfer for Man United. The deal is now closing in. Talk to me. I know you were angry about Mason Mount, but how much happier are you with the idea of a goalkeeper like Onana joining United?
I'm more impressed with the way you said Andre instead of Andre Onana. It sounds like
well, there's an accent on it, so I like to show my sort of my my cultural side.
It made it sound better than it is. Now I want him even more, so he could say his name like that.
I don't say I'm going down the caf. I say I'm going to the cafe. You got like, you know what I mean? I don't even say Barcelona. I go Barcelona. I put the little lisp in there, bruv. You got to do it.
You better not ask me. Don't ask me to say nothing because I will butcher it and make it sound so English.
But no, listen. You can, if you saw the last time I was on the top 6, if you guys are watching, and you're watching me right now, you can see the difference. It's like night and day, in my reactions, because I really didn't want Mount. It happened anyways. It is what it is. But now we're talking about a signing that I really, really want. And as you said, Terry, this is a signing that transforms us to the best. I'm really excited for it to happen. I hope we don't mess this up somehow, because if any club would mess this up, it's us. So I'm gonna stay a little bit, grounded until we make this signing happen. In terms of what he gives us on the pitch, I've spoken about it before. I'll say it again. This guy's gonna come in. He's gonna give us everything that we didn't have for the past, I don't know how many years. Everyone has moved on from traditional goalkeepers to more. What's the word I'm looking for? Ball playing. Yeah, I was looking for a different word. I don't know why. Progressive goalkeepers, yes. This guy's going to come in and he's going to transform us on and off the ball. On the ball, obviously, everyone knows what he could do. He can pass from the back. He can pick the hard passes. He doesn't just pick the easy passes. We've seen him in that Champions League final. Dap's seen him in person, so he knows all what he's about. Off the ball, I don't think a lot of people understand what this guy's going to give us off the ball, because they're like, oh, well, what's the point of signing Mount if you're not going to play possession football and then you're signing a possession-based goalkeeper? Well, if you see how Liverpool have been playing for years, they have one of the best sweeping goalkeepers in the world, if not the best. When you play a system like that and you play P&P and you're holding the ball high up the pitch, it means there's a lot of one-on-one defending left in the back. And if your man gets beat one-on-one or a long ball is being played, you want a sweeper keeper. And we haven't had that with David De Gea. And we've seen it in the Sevilla game where he had to come out and sweep the ball, and he made that mistake for the third goal. So this guy's given us so much on and off the ball. I think this is going to be our biggest signing in the summer, not in terms of monetary value, but in terms of value on the pitch. He's going to transform us 100%, in my opinion.
Do you know what? So I've always said that Ederson, and up until last season, it was hard because there would be the haters that would. And some of them being City fans as well that would say we'll never win a Champions League with Ederson in goal, right? Because of his shot stopping maybe not being as good as Alisson, for example.
Not elite, yeah.
But although surprisingly in the Champions League in the knockout stages this year he actually turned clutch. But it's what he brings to the build-up play. We would not be making Champions League finals if we didn't have Ederson in goal. And Pep's first season, there's no coincidence we didn't have Ederson. I think what you just said there, when you're talking about the way United play and whatever else, listen, the minute you get a goalkeeper that plays the way Ten Hag wants them to play, the whole way you play can change, right? Just by bringing in the goalkeeper. You can talk about Mount. Mount can, we'll get on to Mount later because I've got an opinion on him that isn't a bad one. But the whole way your team can play will change by having the right goalkeeper.
I'm glad you said, sorry to interject. I'm glad you said that. I was going to ask you and G both that question. You've got goalies that are impeccable at playing out from the back. So you both, I assume, would see it that way, that the football will improve massively.
You can't. The thing is, right, and where I sit at the Etihad, the first, one half is all about watching because it's behind the goal. You get to see Haaland and the forwards, right? The second half, you're watching a goalkeeper, and the key is when a ball is played back to a goalkeeper that is comfortable with their feet, and when I mean comfortable, I mean whether it's on his left foot, his right foot, whether it's got a bad bounce, whatever happens, no one on the pitch changes their position. they hold their position. For systems to work correctly, the goalkeeper has to have every single outfield player's trust, because if they don't, we saw it last season in the FA Cup when Zach Steffen comes in. If they don't, every single player changes their position. They'll drop deeper. They'll stop hugging the touchline. And then that changes the whole system. It is the most important position for system-based football. Go on, G. You can probably say it from a Liverpool point of view as well.
You're on mute.
You're on mute.
You're on mute.
He's got not much to say.
Sorry. No, I was just saying, like, I agree with Taps. Like, to be honest with you, I like Edison on the ball a lot better than Alisson. I don't think there's a massive gap, but I do think that there is a bit of more improvement on the ball with Edison. But what you've got with Alisson is someone who you can rely upon in those moments as well. And I think that's also key. It's all well and good having a goalkeeper who can play out from the back and do all of these amazing things, but he needs to be a really, really good goalkeeper. And I think that's few and far between in the world of football nowadays. What we're finding is they're decent on the ball, but not that great at being a goalkeeper. Whereas when you've got Edison and Alisson, you've got two keepers who can do both. You've got keepers who, someone like an Edison, who's almost a midfielder or someone who can play anywhere on the pitch. And then when you've got someone like Alisson, who, again, is really, really good at it, just not as good at doing it as Edison, but he's such a solid goalkeeper. So it gives the team just that confidence. Hence the reason why we both play such a high line. We don't need to necessarily worry so much because we know, well, if we get beaten at the back, both teams have got fantastic defenders. Get beaten at the back, well, then you've got the goalkeeper, and more often than not, he's going to save you. And I think with someone like Onana, he's really, really good with the ball at his feet. It just really depends on what, Ten Hag is going to do next season. I think that's the key for me, because if he is going to switch to that and he really wants to have that goalkeeper who can play comfortably with the ball out of his or with his feet, then Onana's really the only other goalkeeper, unless there's another one that anyone can kind of name. But he's actually a solid goalkeeper. That's the thing with Onana. He is a solid goalkeeper. So it's a good signing, man. And I think that's taking Manchester United to that next step. And it could be a bigger signing, as as he mentioned before, it could be a bigger signing for them than anybody else that you're potentially going to sign this summer.
And I could speak like for somebody that has like a terrible goalkeeper on the ball, it makes a massive difference. Like I went to my first Tottenham game in January, the North London derby. Every time they would pass the ball back to Hugo Lloris, the stadium would shake. Like everybody was like the guy didn't have a first touch. So it's gonna make a massive difference for you guys. But I'm like hearing everything you're saying, and it's facts, because not only is he good on the ball, which is everybody's talking about that, his ability to like play out of the back. Yes, it's phenomenal. But he's also a very good goalkeeper. So that's what I think that's gonna make the difference for Man United next season.
I think also, by the way, let's talk on the fee as well, real quick. I actually think for what you're getting and the change he's going to make, I think the fee's good. I think how
much is it?
For his age,
I think it's good.
It's good.
About 38 to 40 million pounds.
Is that it?
Yeah,
I saw
exactly.
50.
Well, he's
I thought it was
24,
exactly.
right? Is he 24? But even if it's 50, even if
I thought it was
it's 50,
more.
it doesn't matter. 50 is still good.
Yeah, it's still a good bid, but I
quality.
swore it was 50.
Well, that's what I've been saying. For the current market, this price, I think it's a steal. Because when you're looking at David Reyes for 40 and you're looking at Diogo Costa for 65, when you're talking about goalkeepers, he's probably the best one in terms of like being the closest to his prime. He's definitely the closest one between the three names that I just named in his prime. His age, I really like his age, that he's 27. A lot of people want to go for Costa. Oh, let's go for the younger goalkeeper. Well, are you ready to take these like couple years of mistakes that he's going to make? Because that's what young goalkeepers do. They do mistakes in the beginning of their years. So later on, when they hit their prime, they've already matured. And we've seen that with De Gea. When we signed him, yes, he was a teenager. He was like 19, 20, but still, he made a lot of mistakes. And I don't think Ten Hag is trying to, as much as he's trying to recruit younger players, he's not trying to recruit people who need too much development. He still needs someone for the now.
Yeah.
What De Gea is doing, which is smart, because we can't go 4 years without winning a trophy. It's you bring in some young and you'll bring in some that are experienced. You've got Casemiro. I think Onana's 26, 27. He's no
27.
baby. So
Yeah.
getting that mixture and that age profile right is really important. I think it's a brilliant piece of business. Some people are saying 55 million euros. If that's totality, that's still only 47 million pounds, which I still think is cheap. Some are saying 45 plus 5. Well, let's just say that's 50 million in total. That's 42 million. If you go by the actual, the guaranteed sum, 38 million, probably find it somewhere in the middle of all of that. Normally, it is when it comes to these prices. But Like, I'm really happy with it. Another deal that's being discussed today with United is the club going in now and making some outlets are saying our second bid, some are saying our first formal bid for Rasmus Hojlund. They've set a price at around 80 million euros, but there's a lot of talk that the club, Man United, think we can get it done for about 40 to 50 million euros again. But it's very talented young striker. Thoughts on him, Don? Is he going to be good enough? Is he old enough, experienced enough to help lead Man United to a title charge next year?
Do you know what? My views on him, I've never watched him, to be honest. I've seen clips. He does look quite good. But from a lot of United fans and a lot of guys that know him and watched him play, they say that he's quite raw. So my thoughts on him is basically like, if he goes into the season as your main striker and he's missing chances, or you lose a game because he's missed all the chances, or it's just not up to the level that you need right now, Ten Hag's going to get criticised. Why didn't you go and get a main striker? That's my concern as well with like a Jackson, for example. We've just brought in a Jackson, right, who is, again, raw, still quite young, similar to Hojlund. I want someone to come in as a main striker. So I think that's what United need. I think he needs to be like an understudy and sort of come in. You know, United over the years have always had like an understudy from Welbeck. I know, Chicharito wasn't an understudy in terms of age, but he was the guy that would come in off the bench. So I think Hojlund, he's someone that needs to learn off like a seasoned striker. If you look at United overall, you're not a young team. I feel like you need a ready-made striker that's ready to go now. I would say.
The thing is,
just because I know that the pressure at United is a bit different. So it's a massive risk. I think it's a good talent, but I think you still need to get a striker.
The thing is, in all honesty. We had this debate last night, and the hard thing is, because I do hear it, and I think at the moment we were saying that not the risk on the money, because the money is, I'm kind of at a point now in football where when people are talking about the amount people pay for players and whatever else is past any. I don't feel we should get involved in that no more, because none of us, the fact that we're now talking about Onana at that price when other keepers are this price, it's all mad, and it's all to do with political weird stuff, right? The risk for Man United is exactly what you said, that this season, because I see next season for Man United as a season where it's just try and make sure you stay in Champions League football, because I think the owners will be in. And when I mean in and able to really, have a proper, this is our direction, we've got the right people in, and this is what we're going to do in the transfer market next summer. So this season is for United, I feel like, is almost a stay there, keep kind of Ten Hag putting your style of football on, but next summer's where we're going to see the big move. But they've got to stay there by getting the right striker. When you look at who's there, it's very limited, because like if you say Kane, you know that Levy's going to put on, the minute United say, do you know what, we're going to rival Bayern, Kane's going to have an extra 40 million on top of it for United straight away. If you look at Osimhen, Napoli are a nightmare to do business with. So then it's like, who do they go for? Like if you're not going to take a risk, who is not a risk that is achievable at the moment? Who is there?
There's not many number nines around anymore. It's almost like a dying position. Like if you go back to when I was a kid, every team had two up top, and they had four strikers in their team. That's not a thing at the moment. So I'm for a club of Man United's standard, I don't think that they should be going in for Hojlund yet. I think they should be hanging around a little bit on that one. I think they probably should have gone in for Colomawani, but it looks like he's moved on now as well.
What's the difference?
What's the difference between?
Why would you go for Colomawani and not Hojlund? Yeah.
Why? Well, I watch a lot of Bundesliga football, and I see what he adds to the team, and I see what he's been able to add for an international position as well.
Yeah, he's not really prolific.
Well,
he's more experienced though. He's more experienced at this level.
Yeah, and I would agree that as well. And you've got to then look at the supply that he's getting. I mean, like if you look at Atalanta, the way they play football, how fluid they are, and he's only scored 13, 14 goals. And when you're playing for a Frankfurt that have got creative players but aren't as fluid as an Atalanta, and he still contributed over 20 goals and assists, I'm now looking more towards the quality of what he will have around him. If Colomawani could do that job through the middle, and he could also bring in the likes of Rashford and a Garnacho and maybe even Anthony, if he's like staying and looking to be a number one. But that's the sort of level that I would be looking at, who is sort of like that level above where Hojlund is right now, because you're not going to be able to get that Kane level player right now. And Players like
Yeah.
Lewandowski are too old. Do you know what I mean? So
What I would
Yeah,
say,
but-
Terry,
I
if
thi-
Man
I-
United,
yeah.
United can't get if United can't get Kane right now, one thing that Osimhen, for example, because they're the only two that I would say in the market realistically that even I would want because we need a striker as well, right? What I would say with United is maybe what you could do is potentially play Rashford down the middle and have Hojlund as his, understudy, or start Hojlund in certain games against certain oppositions. Because what you don't want to do is panic and get a Mawani, for example, who you haven't fully scouted. You don't think he's going to fit your system 100%. But again, bowing down to the pressure from the fan base.